So I'm Ejay Mallard. I'm from Houston. I make music, preferably I sing.
I have been down on my luck. I've been broken. I need you.
For me, it was like, I feel like it's kind of that same story, that church boy kind of story. But yeah, that's the honest to God truth. That's where I was. My mom honestly was always kind of on me about going to church, wake up every day, go to church, go to church. It kind of became a thing. At that point, it was kind of like I didn't want to go to church. I don't want to sing. But over time, it just kind of like grew on you, and then you kind of just pick up an aspiration for it. From there, I became like a worship leader for my church and stuff like that. So I was singing, doing all the stuff for my church musically, like all that stuff. So it kind of like just kind of bled into it. And then I was like, man, I want to kind of see where this goes for myself and my own career, in a sense.
Okay, so at what point did you decide to start making original music?
I think I made my first, like, well, let me read back. I wrote my first song. I remember it's called Cinderella Girl. It's so lame. Don't judge me. But I wrote my first song when I was like, 7th, 8th grade. I don't remember. Like, I was young, but like recording and like officially getting it done. I remember, I think it was like freshman year of college, man. I felt like that was the first kind of package of music that I felt like was official enough for me to get out. I don't think I can't think of to date anything else that I was pre-recorded. Yeah. So I originally grew up in like East Compton area, like Paramount. So that's like where I call home, I guess. That's where like got some family that's still out there, granny's still out there. So that's where like I originally called home. That was after my parents stuff got divorced. That was kind of like where we wanted to be. And then I met my dad, moved back to Houston first. So I was like, man, I want to go back to Houston. Like, I want to be in Houston. So I followed my dad like an idiot, and it was boring. But ended up in Houston, and from there went to high school, graduated, went to Tascela High School, graduated from there, came from there to Baylor, been here ever since. Just everywhere, honestly. Like, so being in like growing up in church, I was in choir in church, but I was also in choir in high school. So I was singing like classical type shit.
Singing for real.
And low key, that shit got fun too. So I got into that like really, really good. And then I made it all the way to state. So it's like, damn, like this shit low key got fun, but I was like, this shit is what I like to do. But even with that, I got really good at that. And I was like, man, I want to perfect it, want to master it. And that's where I started just pulling influences. Like in one of my songs, like we had sung this song in choir called Everyone Sings, but there was like this bird chirping that happens at the beginning. And I was one of the bird chirpers. So I was like doing this like whistling vibe type thing as we sung. And it was so cool. And I was like, man, I want to take that and do that in one of my own songs. So then I went and like recorded a song, and I started doing the same thing. And I just blended my voice, like layered my voice, and then put some like like me whistling into the microphone, and it sounded exactly the same. And I was like, that's the dopest like element. Like I would have never thought of that, but it's just the dopest element that you can like take from different types of music and then make one like live ass thing.
That's dope. So do you have any artists in particular that you look at, or you just kind of grab from everywhere?
Honestly, everywhere, but like I guess everyone has a favorite artist. Frank Ocean for sure, Kanye for sure. Those are two like probably the most creative, hungry.
I don't know if you can see, but I got the big ass Kanye poster on the wall.
I didn't see it, but yeah, I love Kanye. I feel like Kanye is probably the most creative person in our era, at least. Like I don't think we've seen anyone as creative as Kanye West. And that's I'll die behind that statement. Like I don't really care what anyone thinks about that. Shit, that's the thing. Like I changed sound so many times, bro. Like I don't even consider myself having a sound. People just be like, "Oh, what kind of music you make?" I don't know. I just make music. Shit that sound good. But right now, if I had a person that want to make music with the sound that I'm working on right now, I would probably say Aaliyah. That would be super smooth. I just got into like the Aaliyah wave. I feel like I'm so late. But Aaliyah is super dope right now, to me at least, for inspiration. Overall, Frank Ocean, in a lifetime, probably Tupac, Kanye West, Kendrick. I would love to make a song with Kendrick. Would love to make an album with Kendrick. That would, like, two of the Compton's finest would be like that would be a project to listen to.
And then so Ejay Mallard, that's your real name, right?
Yeah, like that's.
So talk about the decision not to go ahead and use that and not use a stage name.
So I went through like a window. See, no one's asked these questions. I think I went through like a window of like names. So I originally started with like Elmo because it had all my initials in it, ELM, and then my favorite color was orange. So they like all spelled out lame as fuck. And then I was Sky Jones, Skylar Jones. So it's Skylar and then Jones with a Z. And then I just went by, and then I would just go by Sky Jones as like I guess alias. And I was going by that for a while. Like everybody just started calling me Sky. Like all the homies started calling me Sky. So like that was a thing. And then I honestly, like, I was watching. I'm gonna be 100%. I was listening to Zach. I don't even know how to pronounce her fucking name, but this moment right there inspired me. I still don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's Zafia Dadlos. Please excuse me if I'm butchering that, but she put in her bio, she makes music on SoundCloud. She has a song called Two Headed. It's amazing. But she put in her bio, she said, her brother said they figured out how to say Bon Jovi's name eventually. And I was like, they'll figure out how to say my fucking last name. So yeah. I put it, and that's the thing. Like I was so under the impression that no one would know how to say Mallard. That was the only thing. I was gonna just go by EJ. Like I was like, no one's gonna know how to say Mallard, and you saying it correctly just proved me wrong.
Yes, I mean it's a duck. That's what
I'm saying. Like everyone knows it as the duck. So I was like, okay, perfect. Thank God. Yeah. So I have like a array of producers that I work with, like in-house, from Wave Valley. That's like the homie from Baylor. He crazy with the beats. I also work with Casey Cash, Houston producer. He's super dope with the beats. He made the Better beat. He made the Fix Your Face beat. So those tracks are credited to him. And then another this array of producers who just send me beats, beats from Cryptic. He sends me packages. Just Beatstar, those kind of producers who have just those kind of wave of channels. I just get beat packages from them, and I just go through those and kind of find what I like and be like, what you talking about with this XYZ. As far as like tracking and recording and stuff, all done right here, my guy. Okay. Like, don't even got to get up.
I saw it on your Instagram. I didn't know if that was your regular setup or if it was just the quarantine.
Yeah, this is honestly, this is tracking. This is where I track Traumatized. This track everything, and I just send it to the two mixing engineers that I work with. John Allen Stevens. He also makes dope music. Go check out his new single Molotov. But he has a studio called Third Coast Recordings in Kingwood, Texas. But right now, me and him, we just been sending each other. Like I've been sending my track outs to him. He'll send it back. Boom, and that's how I got a song. Adiante, the Jesus. He also another Houston mixer and engineer. He also did a lot of the work on Traumatized, and even right now we're working on some tracks. I send it to him. He mixes it, sends it back to me. It's ready to go. So I put out so far. My favorite song would probably be probably Will Ya. We did that all like I was in Houston at the time. And there's a lot of people on that song that a lot of people don't really know. My girlfriend is even on that song. So like that was cool. That was her first like time getting on the song. So but yeah, so Will Ya, that's a really special song because when I got that beat, at the time I was like, what's a song that like I know women love a lot, and women will always listen to forever, which was like Rihanna's whatever that fucking Rihanna like sexual ass Rihanna song off her latest album. What's that song called, babe? Kiss It Better. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Kiss It Better by Rihanna. I knew women would love that, so I was like, I want to make a similar sounding song to that. And when I found that beat, I was like, boom, this is it. And it literally like went right along with it. And like the person, I knew that I had accomplished that goal because the person that I know who's like the biggest Rihanna fan was like, oh, this is my favorite song on the album. And I was like, yep. So
I will say, just as a side note, I know from experience that women do like your music. That's how I got put onto you.
Appreciate it.
A girl that I was talking to at the time. I don't know how she heard about you, but she was playing you in the car, and I was like, "Hold on, this is dope!" Like
that's always the fucking story. Niggas is always in the car.
Yeah.
Where y'all niggas going? Niggas is always in the car talking about, yeah, bro, I was in the car. Somebody just put this on. Who is this? Drake and Drive. I hate that song. Let me just.
Do you really?
Yeah, I hate that song. Let me just go ahead and throw it. But that's typically how it usually is. Like, I'm not a Drake fan. I'm just gonna preface this by saying, I respect what Drake does, but I'm not a Drake fan. So I consider Drake and Drive a diss track. A lot of people don't. But Drake and Drive came about, man. We have a studio here at Baylor, so they put like 2 audio booths in our library. And me and my homie, what's his name? Saul Martinez. We was in the audio booth, and we were just chilling. It was like a Friday, and we was like, man, let's record a song. Let's write and find a beat, So we were just going through, and we had found this loop, and I was like, man, this sounds like the loop from the Justin Bieber song. So we hit up the dude who made the loop, and he was like, yeah, but it's an unlicensed loop, so anybody can use it. And I was like, grab that bitch, put that hoe in it. We looped that bitch up, and it's because it sounded exactly like the Justin Bieber song. So we were like, oh, we capitalize on that, like the fact that it sounds something similar to what everyone has already been listening to. Then we'll just ride off that. So we put the song out. We recorded the song, wrote the song right there, probably like 30 minutes. Recorded the song, Logic Pro in the audio booth. He mixed it right there. We uploaded it on SoundCloud the same day, probably like 3-hour process. And then that morning, dude, we probably had like 10,000 plays. Traumatized, man. That's a long, bro. So y'all getting the clue. That's a long ass album. So we being completely honest, I wrote Where the Wild Things Are when I was in 8th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was when we was in Compton, still in the hood. Like, wrote that hoe. That I've been working on Where the Wild, and that's the thing. I never had a beat to Where the Wild Things Are. I just wrote the song, and it changed over time. Don't get me wrong, but the chorus that and nobody, I've always had that. We roll through your hood, we be creeping. Always had that. I wrote that in 8th grade. So I was like, that mentality was always like, I've been always head of the game, bro. Like when I started working on Traumatized, then in comparison to where Traumatized was now, I was already like 6, 7, 8. Like I was done with Traumatized. Like I was like, I don't even care about this album. I just know I got to get it out. Off of Traumatized, I would say Ruin Me, that first intro track. I did with mine. She's a R&B singer from Houston. But Ruin Me, I wrote that. That was probably like 2-3 weeks before the project, like before the end of the project, before the project was uploaded to the distributor. But I wrote that, and I was like, man, this song's so damn good, bro. Like I've gotten a lot of love. I got flown out to New York for that song. So that song was a good ass song. I wrote that like in a very dark time in my life. But it came out perfectly. It came out like I literally on first take. We recorded the whole song in like 10 minutes because I was at the end of my recording section, and I was like, fuck, I got one more song. He was like, well, let's just record the vocals and then you can do it later. And I recorded the whole thing like one take in like from chorus to everything. And he was like, I'm gonna just cut it up and I'm gonna send it to you. He cut it up and sent it to me, and I was like, oh, I ain't recording this shit no more. This shit sound perfect.
Yeah.
And then I sent it to mine. She did her shit. She sent it back to me. We mixed it, and it came out perfect, like flawless within like if you really want to talk about how long it took to record, I would say probably 15 minutes, like max. She recorded her verse in 5. Like it took probably 15 minutes to record that whole song, probably 30 minutes to mix it. Like it did not take a long time at all, but that's probably the best, like nicely written from start to finish. It encapsulates the entire story, like of who I am as an artist and what I was going for Traumatized, and the kind of move that I needed like people to know like early on.
So just
yo, what's up, y'all? It's Ejay again. I'm just giving you the okay.
It's okay, you can leave, but before you do, can you lay it on me?